World leaders have warned against further chaos in the Middle East after the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. The Palestinian resistance group says Israel is behind the airstrike. This happened just hours after Hezbollah's top military commander was killed in a similar attack in Beirut. So is a full-blown war in the Middle East inevitable? I'll break it all down here on Straight Talk. Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Aisha Subarkash. A region already shaken by Israel's war on Gaza is now under threat of a wider conflict in the Middle East. World leaders have condemned the assassination of Hamas's political bureau chief Ismail Haniyeh and warned against further escalation. Tel Aviv had vowed retaliation after an airstrike on Sunday killed 12 young people in an Israeli-occupied Syrian territory. Haniye was killed in an alleged Israeli airstrike in Tehran after attending the inauguration of the country's new president. Among the leaders who condemned the attack was Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who called it a despicable attempt to undermine the Palestinian cause. The assault came just hours after Israel killed a top Hezbollah commander in Beirut in one of several strikes on the group's hideouts in Lebanon after the Golan Heights attack. Tel Aviv had blamed Hezbollah, but the group denied responsibility. Tensions between the two sides have soared ever since Israel launched its war on Gaza in October. Haniye's killing comes just after negotiators met in Rome for a possible truce in Gaza. But will world powers keep pushing for a ceasefire despite the assassination? And for more on the escalating Middle East conflict, joining me now from Istanbul is Helin Sarıertem. She's an associate professor at Medeniyet University. From Ankara, Ahmet Keser, professor at Hasan Kalyoncu University, and Ali Bakir, assistant professor at Qatar University. A warm welcome to you both, and thanks for joining me on Straight Talk. So, Helin, talk to us about the significance of Hamas's political bureau chief Haniyeh's assassination in Iran's capital, Tehran.
Well, there are too many messages to two different countries, organizations, actors. So although Israel didn't approve that it has committed this suicide, most of us naturally believe that it is Israel's issue, let's say. For that reason, I think the significance of the issue is that Haniye was one of the main actors of the peace process, at least the ceasefire process, the negotiations, especially between Israel and the Gulf countries, namely Qatar. For that reason, Israel has killed one of the negotiators, one of the most important names of the so-called peace process, at least the ceasefire process. Mm-hmm. And we are trying to understand what Israel is aiming with this assassination, because if it doesn't want peace, if it doesn't want ceasefire, what will be the fate of the prisoners of war, the Israeli prisoners of war in the hands of Hamas?
Ali, what are your views about the timing and the location of Haniyeh's assassination, which happened just less than 24 hours after the killing of Hezbollah's top commander, Fuat Shukr, in Lebanon?
Israel threatened from the beginning, since last October, to assassinate Hamas leaders, wherever they are. Haniyeh was basically located in Doha, and he was moving also between Doha and Turkey. So it was highly unlikely for Israel to assassinate Haniyeh while he's residing in Doha or in Turkey, especially after the Turkish intelligence agency warned Israel of their consequences if it tried to assassinate Palestinian leaders on its soil. So I think that the Israeli security apparatus saw a window of opportunity to assassinate Haniyeh while in Iran. Mm-hmm. And we know that Netanyahu, since the beginning of the war, he aimed to escalate the war and try to expand it outside Gaza. So this was a rare opportunity, and I think that he decided with his security apparatus to take the opportunity, especially after coming back from the U.S. trip, where the Congress were applauding for him while his army was continuing to slaughter Palestinians in Gaza. So he felt empowered. He also wanted to send messages to Iran that Israel arm is long and can reach wherever Iran and Iran's influence is, and to assassinate a high-profile figure
Yes.
while inaugurating the Iranian president was really an important message to Iran. And now Iran is a critical position and is calculating whether it has to respond or not, and how, and what are the repercussions of this measure.
So, Ahmed, how sophisticated was this attack, and why do you think Israel neither confirmed nor denied its involvement in Haniye's assassination?
I read the answers of this question on several aspects according to the actors. For Iran, for example, a very carefully selected target. It is a negative impact, of course, on Iran's image. Also, for the supporters of Iran, and also the Houthis in Yemen, Hezbollah as well. For Israel, when we look at, for example, simultaneous attacks ongoing from the Israel side, at the same time in Gaza, also airstrikes in Lebanon, and also a secret service assassination in Iran. So a very carefully selected target, not in Qatar, which is a base country for the negotiations, not in Turkey, which already warned Israel and also conducted some operations against the secret service members connected to Mossad. So this is conducted in Iran.
Yes. So
also,
please continue.
Also in Iran, now there are suspicions about the security situation. How, for example, new president and administration can feel themselves in security without being protect even a guest under their protection in their country, for example. So we can see this is a message by Israel that their secret service have sufficient power even in Iran to conduct such operations in such a ceremony.
Actually, that's a question I just wanted to ask Hayden. It's noteworthy that the targeted attack occurred after attending newly elected President Pezeshkian's inauguration, which brought scores of foreign delegations to Tehran. So what does this tell us about Iran's security, and how has this attack hurt the country's credibility?
Well, certainly Israel is trying to target, at least diminish Iran's credibility in the eyes of the international community as well. I think it's also trying to create a kind of insecurity as a feeling and trying to somehow weaken the moral ground on the Iranian side. In today's funeral, the ceremony, funeral ceremony for Haniye in the Tehran streets, we saw that there was a high amount of security measures, and this is the first step that Iran is trying to do, at least to decrease the level of insecurity inside the public, inside the officials, because in the past as well there had been some assassinations as well as explosions, such as Qasem Soleimani's anniversary during the ceremonies last year. I think it was in January 2024. For that reason, I think Iran has to somehow repair the damaged image of the country in the eyes of the international community. But I do also want to underline that this doesn't mean that Israel doesn't have any vulnerabilities. Even the October 7 incidents, the attacks against Israel was showing that Israel is not immune to any kind of foreign attack, or at least attack from inside, which is from the Palestinians. I think both countries are trying to repair images. This assassination is also a continuation of Israel's efforts to repair its damaged image during the October 7 attacks.
So, Ali Al-Qassam Brigade said Haniye's assassination would turn battle to new dimensions with big consequences for the entire region. And Yemen's Houthi leader warned of severe consequences for Israel. The question is, are we likely to see coordinated retaliation for both Hezbollah commander Fuat Shukr and Ismail Haniyeh's assassinations?
To be honest, I'm not in favor of putting all these operations in one basket and even the retaliation also. But of course, now it's all about Iran and what it would do during the next step. Of course, the Iranians' priorities are mainly to safeguard their regime and government. And in order to do so, this requires them not to engage directly in a full-scale war with Israel or the United States. And that's why they mainly bank on their regional arms or proxies to do that job till they acquire the nuclear bomb or reach an agreement with the US administration. But for now, the Israelis pushed far this time by crossing all red lines and trying to drag other players to the regional war. And the Iranians are caught now in between the fear of not responding and thus inviting Israel to escalate more, assassinate more, and target more, and try to drive the region to a full-scale war. And the fear of responding properly and damaging Israel's security, and thus be dragged to a full-scale war with Israel, which Netanyahu wants from the beginning, in order to drag the US also into it. And this will be very destructive, very costly war for Iran also, and most probably will end up with the regime change. Iran knows these calculations, and that's why for some time we have been seeing very asymmetric, carefully calculated, limited, and measured to some extent performative responses, if I may say, to Israel's targeting. But for now, all other players don't have any interest in regional war. I don't think this regional full-scale war will happen because of many reasons. But you never know. We have a reckless, radical leader in Israel, and Israel is in war with itself right now. So that's why they desperately need to expand the war on Gaza to other countries. But the last word, if I may say, it is for the US to decide how this will end, in my opinion.
So, Anna, Turkey has also strongly condemned the attack, with the Turkish foreign ministry releasing a message on the assassination of Haniye. It said this attack is also aimed at spreading the war in Gaza to a regional level. If the international community does not act to stop Israel, our region will face even greater conflict. Turkey will continue to support the just cause of the Palestinian people. So the question is, how will Ankara respond to this moving forward?
Well, actually, Ankara was for long, especially pushing all the actors to reach a peaceful solution, at least a ceasefire first, to protect the lives of the civilians and to protect the Palestinians as well and their rights within the frame of international humanitarian law, of course. So Turkey, I think, still continues look at or approach to the matter with some principles within the international law again. But after this attack, because Hamas, the political leader of Hamas, is one of the very significant and important actors of reaching a ceasefire for the negotiations. And just after, there are rumors, which is not just approved yet, the military leader of Hamas has been assassinated as well by Israel today. So if that is also correct, we can read that Israel is enforcing Hamas and all other parties to go on to fight or war. So this is not they do not seek a sustainable solution to reach peace. So we can read the, I think, position of the countries, especially Israel, as the situation in between the two world wars. So increasing populism and increasing ideas of the fascist leaders, like, for example, when we look at the similarities between Netanyahu and Mussolini. Mussolini told during that time that if Italy will benefit from the war, why Italy shouldn't go into war. So Netanyahu follows the same path within this one by ensuring his power also in internal politics. So he gets benefit from all out of this. Turkey will, I think, continuously go on pushing the parties to go on a solution, especially in diplomatic and political arenas like United Nations and others, continuously, I think.
So, Aydin, I just mentioned the U.S.'s role in whether to stop this bloodshed or not, but is comprehensive regional cooperation going to be needed to reduce tensions before they spiral out of control? I'm talking about the regional countries. For example, could Ankara just bring those regional countries together to find a solution to the stalemate?
Well, in the past, Ankara called for so many times, it called the Islamic countries to come together and at least to reach a kind of agreement, a kind of consensus regarding the solution, the so-called solution of the Palestinian issue, because in my point of view, this is an Israeli issue. Unfortunately, it's not a Palestinian issue. We keep calling it as a Palestinian issue. This unfairness, injustice is happening in front of the eyes of the whole international community. For that reason, I believe that Turkey will continue to work on the mediation part of the issue. This is also very much suitable for the Turkish foreign policy as well, because what Israel wants is to escalate the tension by somehow creating a kind of anger and hatred among the Islamic countries, including Turkey. But this is a kind of a trap. So Turkey should not fall into this trap. Turkey should follow the reasonable way, reasonable path to find a fair solution, because this is about unfairness. This is about injustice that is being committed against the Palestinian people for more than 75 years.
Ali, how would this assassination affect the ongoing ceasefire negotiations between Hamas and Israel now that Hamas's top negotiator has been killed?
Well, one of the main goals of this assassination was exactly to sabotage the negotiation process, because, as you may know, there were rumors that we are very close to a deal, and Netanyahu always objected reaching such deal or freeing the captives or reaching a sustainable peace. So it was against his interest, and that's why when he saw an opportunity to do this, he took it immediately. Now they are asking the negotiations to continue, but you cannot just kill the party who you are negotiating with and ask him later to continue as if nothing happened. I think that this assassination will also strengthen the military branch of Hamas and will make the negotiations harder for all parties, including the ones facilitating these issues, such as Qatar. Second, I think that also the assassination meant to undermine the national unity agreement sponsored by China, because one main goal of that agreement was to block Israel's agenda to control occupied Gaza after the war ends. So, and also to prevent Israel from installing a puppet on Gaza. And that's why the presence of Haniye was very important in the post-war era. And Israel evaluating the situation and manipulating, pitting Palestinians against each other, decided to assassinate Haniye and also try to see who's the coming leader in order to undermine the unity agreement between the Palestinians. I think that, of course, now it's a very dangerous game with reckless and radical politicians like Netanyahu in power till now. We don't know how things will evolve, but we know that he is not aiming for a sustainable solution, which is very dangerous. And again, the ball, in my opinion, is in the court of the U.S. right now, and the U.S. is in a very unstable situation, which makes the possibility of spillover of the crisis very dangerous.
Speaking of U.S., Ahmet, U.S. Secretary of State Blinken said a ceasefire is imperative now and that talks should continue. So how do you think this will play out? I mean, is the U.S. still a credible actor in ceasefire negotiations?
This is, of course, tied to the question, is Israel behind United States or United States is behind Israel? So have to say, I think, welcome to Mr. Blinken. They understood after 40,000 people lost their lives at this stage for a ceasefire. I think there is a late proposal, but we are not sure if Israel side will accept proposal because we have seen that they have a full support from the Congress, as Netanyahu delivered a speech in front of both Congress merged. Not even the U.S. presidents had that capability in the past. So he was honored to have such a chance. So that's why I don't think that they will stop and reach a solution immediately, because the highest level of authorities, like far-right minister, Netanyahu himself, even they say it is not time for ending up the war or for a peaceful solution or for a ceasefire. So until they reach their goals, they will not stop. But no one in the world, except for themselves, know what is the final goal of Israel now, where they will stop. That is the main problem. So that's why now they do not have any real party in front of them who will go on with the negotiations with them, who will represent the Palestine side. So they have quite a gap, an opportunity to continue the conflicts in the region. And they always escalate the situation and tension and try to pull all the actors into a chaotic environment in the region, all possible actors, to create at least a regional, if not a global war in the region.
So, Helen, how do you think Russia and China are viewing these latest developments? Because these targeted strikes came at a time where more than a dozen rival Palestinian factions agreed on a reconciliation deal with the mediation of China. So, I mean, will Chinese efforts be hindered? And what is next for Palestinians' unity?
Well, looking from the United States' eyes, I think this would be the issue, because the credibility of China, especially regarding mediation efforts, is increasing, you know. And China is trying to be the future leader of the world, of the international community. And for that reason, we keep seeing China much more active in the regions like the Middle East. It was the constructor of the peace between Saudi Arabia and Iran in the past, and this was also somehow dragged the attention of the US officials. So China's role is increasing both in the Middle East and in the international system as well, and I think this is not something advantageous for the United States. I do agree to the opinion that the United States will be the actor which will determine the future of this issue, future of this last crisis, which was created by Israel with this assassination in Iran. The United States will determine what kind of system will be built, will be constructed in the future, whether the United States will be continue to be the leader of the international system. And as far as now, we don't see any kind of positive sign from the United States side, especially after this very warm welcome of Netanyahu in the US Congress.
So, Ali, what do Israel's relentless attacks on Gaza and its targeted killings of rival senior officials tell us about the state of the rules-based international order?
I don't like actually using this word, rules-based international order, because we have to ask who's making the rules and to the benefit of who, against who. And obviously right now, in the last 20 years at least, we are seeing that a few countries in the world, not as international community, are making these rules to their benefit against the majority of the world nations. This is an unsustainable situation, in my opinion, and the image, credibility, and effectiveness of the foreign policies of these countries are being undermined dramatically, especially in the case of Israel. The whole world now is observing and seeing the first televised genocide committed by Israel and supporting by these called international community nations comprised of the US, mainly Germany, France, and UK. among others. So I don't think we are now in a transitional period, and the whole world is unstable, very dangerous, and we are witnessing also rivalry between the US and China. So some nations are seeking war in order to try to uphold its position in the current international system, and others are trying to defend themselves in the transitional period in this international system. I think that the war, Israeli war on Gaza, is not about the region only, but it's also about the international order, the coming one.
Ahmed, would you agree? Are we transitioning to a period where this world order subsists on a force alone rather than legitimacy?
We can start from the point which already mentioned. The international law is for long turned out to be the powerful law. So that's why we can say the future of the region will be shaped by the powerful actors, at least the global actors of the world as well.
Yes.
Maybe that also answers why Mahmoud Abbas is also, he preferred to seek solution from the Chinese side by have a meeting with them before Turkey, for example. And also that also maybe answers why Israel prefers to talk with Mahmoud Abbas instead of Hamas leaders, even if the Palestinian people supports Hamas more. So maybe they see Abbas closer their thoughts and ideas to reach their goals as well. So we will see if the international legal order will be protected and secured by global actors, or will be reshaped from the very beginning in the upcoming days or months.
All right, Ahmed, Ali, and Helen, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.
Thank you.
And that's all for this edition of Straight Talk with me, Aisha Subarkash. If you've got any comments, please share them with us on X at Straight Talk TRT. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, take care and goodbye.